Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Battle Through the Heavens based on novel. So let's start. Haibodong and the others on the fortress were startled for quite a while when they saw the Three Empires Alliance army suddenly began to withdraw in a torrent-like manner. They looked at each other with no understanding of what was happening. The fortress erupted into an earth-shaking cheer during the time that they were stunned. A countless number of people, who had originally thought that their country and home would be destroyed today, could not control the excitement in their hearts. A cheer from having survived charged to the clouds. It seems that the Three Empire Alliance has finally withdrawn. Haibodong let out a long sigh as he spoke in a manner that suggested he had removed a heavy burden. Jiao and Fa Ma smiled and nodded when they heard this. The Jiao Empire would likely stand proud that day. Xiao Yan, who heard the earth-shaking cheer from the fortress in the sky, also sighed in relief. He turned his head and smiled as he said to Medusa, "It has been tough on you this 1 year. It is unexpected that you have so many old friends that you can meet all over the place." Medusa faintly replied. Her words were tainted with a slight sourness that was difficult to describe. Xiao Yan could only bitterly laugh when he heard these words of hers. He said, "She is merely a friend from back then. It is just that I did not expect her to end up on today's stage. She should be the person whom we had met in the magical Beast Mountain range back then, right? I faintly sensed it when we exchanged blows during this period of time." Medusa glanced at him as she spoke, "Yes." Xiao Yang smiled and nodded. His eyes slinked toward the fortress and he said, "Let's go. This big battle is over and the Jiao Empire can finally catch its breath." His body moved after he said these words. He took the lead to fly to the fortress. Medusa followed close behind him. Xiao Yang sat in the leader's seat, which had gone unoccupied for a long time. His eyes looked over the entire hall. He chose to randomly chat for a while before turning his head to Haibodong and inquiring in a solemn manner, "No one from the Hall of Souls has appeared during the past year, right?" The thing that Xiao Yang paid the most attention to was naturally the Hall of Souls. The reason that he had established the Yang Alliance was to use it to enable him to protect the Xiao clan, yes. Haibodong nodded his head and said, "For some unknown reason, news regarding the Hall of Souls has ceased coming from the Empire ever since the Misty Cloud sect was disbanded." Xiao Yang sighed in relief when he heard this. He immediately fell into a deep thought. The Hall of Souls was clearly extremely interested in the Qiushi ancient gods, jade, belonging to the Xiao clan. Hence, it was unlikely that they would simply give up. It had been almost a year, but why was there no other activity? Was it because some other matter had resulted in them not having the time to bother with them? Xiao Yang mused for a moment in his heart, but it was futile. He could only shake his head, raise it, and sweep his eyes over Haibodong. He involuntarily said with a smile, "It is unexpected that old Hai has also reached the peak of the Do Huang class. I think that you should be able to reach the Do Zone class soon." Haibodong immediately shook his head in a helpless manner when he heard this. He said, "You little fellow. How can it be so easy? Do you not see that old Jiao has remained at this stage for many years and has never broken through?" Xiao Yang smiled. His eyes turned to the smiling Xiao Ding by his side as he asked, "Big brother, what is the Yang Alliance like now? Is it all right?" Xiao Yang finally understood the Yang Alliance's current strength and size within the Jiao Empire after hearing the brief summary. He could not help but smack his mouth. Although he had confidence in it when it was established back then, he did not expect that Big Brother and the others would be able to develop the Yang Alliance until such a stage within a short 1 year. From what his big brother had said, the size of the current Yang Alliance seemed to have far exceeded the Xiao Gate in the Black Corner region. Of course, the Xiao Gate there had great potential. This was because it was provided with the graduates of extraordinary talent from the Inner Academy. These people were all people who had outstanding training talent. Are the members of the Xiao clan well? Xiao Yang softly inquired, "How can they not be well with an outstanding clan head like you?" Xiao Ding spoke with a smile. The Xiao clan has justifiably become the strongest clan within the Jiao Empire. It was for no other reason other than the Xiao clan had produced this leader of the Yang Alliance, Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang softly exhaled as he said, "If you have the time, you should send someone to pass the message to the Jiunan Academy. If Xiao Yu and the others wish to return, let them do so. The current Xiao clan already possesses the ability to protect itself. Yes. Xiao Ding nodded. He said, coincidentally, I can also pass the message to the Xiao Gate and tell second brother that he need not hurry over to rescue us. Xiao Yang smiled. He immediately waved his hand and said, since the big fight is over, I will leave the remaining matters to all of you. I am very reassured if I hand this Yang alliance over to all of you. Xiao Yang walked out of the hall in front of the numerous helpless eyes after saying this. This fellow is thinking of being an absent leader again. Everyone in the large hall softly grumbled. The Black Mountain Fortress under the night sky might still appear like a vicious beast lying on the ground, because of its enormous size, but it gave off a less fierce aura compared to daytime, and a little more silence. Xiao Yang was seated cross-legged on a low mountain peak not far from the fortress. His eyes were slightly shut, as the moonlight landed on his body. The faint cool feeling caused Xiao Yang's heart to feel extremely clear. Medusa lazily leaned on a tree trunk behind Xiao Yang. She blinked her bewitching pupils, as she repeatedly swept them back and forth. A moment later, she lazily said, she is still not here even at such a late hour. Looks like you have waited in vain. Xiao Yang helplessly shook his head when he heard these words. He spoke without turning his head. I have already told you that there is no need for you to come. Are you afraid that she will actually eat me? Who knows whether she is really retreating or faking a retreat? If she uses this one-on-one meeting to kill you and return once again tomorrow, the Jiuman Empire would be finished. Medusa curled her mouth as she replied, is that so? Xiao Yang smiled when he heard this. His heart immediately moved as he turned his head and looked at the distant sky. Ripples were being transmitted from the sky from that direction. A white-colored figure stepped on the empty sky, appearing to be walking over slowly. However, the figure appeared in the air above this mountain peak within just a couple of blinks. Xiao Yang smiled and stood up as he looked at little fairy doctor, who had appeared in the air. He said, you are finally here. Little fairy doctor moved her body and it gently landed on the mountain peak. Her unusual grayish-purple pupils that appeared demon-like under the moonlight first glanced at Medusa behind Xiao Yang before calmly speaking, there is quite a lot of trouble for the three armies to retreat. Those armies have argued too much and delayed quite a lot of time. Why? Xiao Yang frowned when he heard this. He asked, are the three sects unwilling to withdraw? The Chuyan Empire is controlled by the Poison Sect. I am the Poison Sect's leader, so it is only natural that the Chuyan Empire will not voice too many objections. However, the Golden Geese Sect and the Mulan Valley are not factions from the Chuyan Empire. The strength of their sects is not much weaker than the Poison Sect. Hence, their objection is extremely intense even though I said that I wanted to withdraw. They had long planned on annexing the Jiuman Empire, and were naturally unwilling to let go of this chance so easily. Little fairy doctor slowly explained, Luo Yang Qian, and one of the three Mulan elders are seriously wounded by me. They actually dare to be this arrogant despite having lost these two people. A coldness flashed through Xiao Yang's eyes as he spoke. I said that the Golden Geese Sect and the Mulan Valley's strength are quite strong. Although they dispatched the strongest people in their sect for this big battle, they still have not touched the essence of their strength. From the looks of it, they still intend on stubbornly destroying the Jiuman Empire even if the Poison Sect refuses to join this battle. Little fairy Dakota looked at Xiao Yang as she once again said, Yang Luo Qian, and one of the three Mulan elders have indeed been seriously injured. However, according to what I know, their sects possess quite high-tier alchemists. As long as they are given a couple of days' time for the sect to deliver some rare medicinal pills over, their injuries likely will recover extremely quickly. Adding this to the large number of experts from the two sects who will arrive, it is likely that they will gather and attack the Jiuman at that time. Xiao Yang's face was dark and solemn. If this were the case, the Yang Alliance and the Jiuman Empire would likely descend into a bitter battle. This kind of situation was clearly not one that he was willing to see. The greatest support of the Gold Geese Sect and the Mulan Valley are the two elite Dozongs, who are namely Yang Luo Qian, as well as the three Mulan elders. As long as these two people are killed, the strength of the two large factions will naturally decline. They would also no longer dare to possess the thought of attacking the Jiuman Empire. Medusa by the side suddenly spoke in an indifferent manner. Little fairy doctor raised her brows slightly while she watched Xiao Yang's eyes. She subsequently descended deep into thought. Medusa behind Xiao Yang moved her body while little fairy doctor was deep in thought. She appeared in the air and coincidentally sealed off little fairy doctor's path of retreat. From the looks of her actions, it seemed that she was prepared to immediately act depending on the little fairy doctor's decision. Little fairy doctor had naturally sensed Medusa's action. She coldly laughed, "If I wish to leave, you will not be able to stop me. You can come and try." Medusa's eyes also revealed a chillness, as she spoke in a tit-for-tat manner. Xiao Yang felt a great headache, as he watched these two women, who were filled with fury when they were near each other. He waved his hand and stopped the two of them. His eyes studied the little fairy doctor as he said, "The Yang alliance is established by me. Hence, I cannot watch it be destroyed. Yang Luo Tian and the 3 Mulan elders will be the greatest threat. Hence, it will naturally be best if it is possible to finish them off." Little fairy doctor hesitated for a moment as she observed Xiao Yang's flickering eyes. She clenched her silver teeth and nodded. She said, "In any case, those two fellow have ill thoughts toward me and cannot be considered true allies. I can choose not to intervene if you wish to attack." Xiao Yang immediately sighed in relief when he heard this. His face had a joy that was difficult to hide. For the little fairy doctor to be able to say this, it meant that she had not forgotten about their relationship. Moreover, from her point of view, this was a friendship that was rare. Even though they were now in different camps, she still quietly valued it. The cold glint in Medusa's eyes gradually paled only after seeing little fairy doctor nod her head. She slowly lowered her body and mumbled, "Consider yourself sensible." Little fairy doctor naturally ignored Medusa's words. Her grayish-purple eyes turned to Xiao Yang as she said, "The 3 armies are now temporarily staying at a city on the borders of the Chuyun Empire. Luo Yang Qian and the 3 Mulan elders are also there. However, 2 of them are seriously injured. Hence, the surrounding defenses are extremely tight. It will not be easy for the 2 of you to act. Yes, leave them to us." Xiao Yang mused for a moment before smiling and nodding his head. "The outer defenses of the city will be scattered by me when you act. I myself will also say that I am undertaking a retreat beforehand. This is all that I can do. You must be the ones to attack. After all, if this is leaked out, it would hurt the credibility of the poison sect." Little fairy doctor slowly said, "Thank you very much. This control method is called the poison pill method. It gathers all the poison that is accumulated within one's body and transforms all of it into a poison pill. Once the poison pill is formed, the woeful poison body would finally become a truly frightening constitution. The continent had once witnessed a couple of disasters that were caused by the woeful poison body. However, those people who possessed the woeful poison body had never reached this stage. There is no reason for this other than that the ingredients that this poison pill method require are too hard to find. The refinement of the poison pill can be mainly divided into 3 essential things that it requires. The first is 3 kinds of heavenly flames. The second is the monster core of a rank 7 sky poison dragon scorpion beast. The third is bodhisattva body transformation saliva. Little fairy doctor's eyes slowly swept over the scroll. The excitement in her eyes gradually became dim. The ingredients that the poison pill required, that were recorded in this scroll, were really too frightening. No wonder there had not been a single person who successfully learned how to completely control the woeful poison body. 3 kinds of heavenly flames. Just this first condition was enough to discourage everyone. Everyone was aware of the destructive strength of a heavenly flame on the continent. If an ordinary expert were able to obtain a single kind of heavenly flame, their fighting strength would definitely soar. If an alchemist were to obtain one, their success rate when refining medicinal pills would definitely soar. Hence, heavenly flames possessed an extremely high status in the hearts of those experts on the Do-Chi continent. However, the heavenly flame's rarity was also common knowledge. Being able to obtain one was already a great blessing. As for 3 kinds, the second ingredient similarly caused a person to feel even more hopeless. The sky poison dragon scorpion beast was a unique beast from ancient times. Its strength was extremely great. A rank 7 sky poison dragon scorpion beast already possessed the qualification to transform into a human form. Its fighting strength was extremely terrifying. There was seldom anyone who could match them in the same rank. It was even more difficult to obtain its monster core. Of course, the first two conditions seemed to be a little easier when compared to the third one. At the very least, little fairy doctor had heard of both the heavenly flames and the sky poison dragon scorpion beast. The third bodhisattva body transformation saliva was something that she had never even heard or seen before. With these three harsh conditions, little fairy doctor understood why not a single person who possessed the woeful poison body had refined this so-called poison pill within their bodies, as this control method had described. Xiao Yan sighed as he watched little fairy doctor's face, which had instantly darkened. He immediately softly said, "You need not worry about the three kinds of heavenly flames. I am able to help you on this. However, you need to spend some effort on that monster core of the sky poison dragon scorpion beast and the bodhisattva body transformation saliva. You possess three kinds of heavenly flames." Little fairy doctor was startled when she heard this. Her eyes were stunned as they swept over Xiao Yang's body. How could a person possess three kinds of heavenly flames? Xiao Yang smiled when he saw little fairy doctor's expression. He flicked his finger, and a wisp of jade-green flame suddenly appeared. After which, it swiftly divided into a green flame and an invisible flame. Soon after, another dense white flame came out from the fire seal between Xiao Yang's eyebrows. Little fairy doctor's dim eyes finally revealed a joy, as she looked at the three tiny flames that were suspended in front of Xiao Yang. She said, "No wonder you are able to fight with an elite dozong with just the strength of a do huang. It is actually because of this. But even if you have three kinds of heavenly flames, that monster core of a sky poison dragon scorpion beast, and the required bodhisattva body transformation are also extremely difficult to obtain." Xiao Yang's eyes sent off the back of the little fairy doctor, as it disappeared into the night sky. He also stretched his lazy waist and smiled as he said to Medusa, "Let's go. It's time to return." Medusa knit her brows and said, "Can she be trusted? If we charge in during the day that we attack and end up being surrounded by them, the ending, the current Jioma Empire, and the snake people rely on the both of us. If any mishap were to happen, you should know what the consequences would be for the Yang Alliance." Xiao Yang's expression became somewhat solemn when he heard these words of Medusa. A moment later, he nodded slightly and spoke in a deep voice, "I trust her. I hope that you aren't be wrong about her." Medusa softly snorted. Her gaze immediately flickered. She hesitated for a moment before saying, "You should come with me to the Snake People tribe tomorrow. A couple of our tribe's elders wish to meet you." "Meet me?" Xiao Yang was startled as he asked, "What for?" Medusa's face was somewhat unusual. It was tilted to the side as she said, "The elders within the tribe possess some secret method to easily probe into another person's body. The matter of me not being a virgin is something that they are already aware of." Xiao Yang faintly opened his mouth. His face immediately revealed an embarrassed expression as he rubbed his head. His mouth emitted a dry laugh. It was a long while later before he carefully asked, "Then, what do they plan to do?" Medusa's heart involuntarily smiled when she saw Xiao Yang's expression. Her face, however, was still ice-cold as she said faintly, "According to the rules of our clan, you will suffer from being swallowed by tens of thousands of snakes." Xiao Yang trembled in a cold, violent manner when he heard the whatever swallowed by tens of thousands of snakes. He dryly laughed, "Can't everyone have a nice conversation? Must you use these things? I am currently the chief of the Yang Alliance, ****. Doing those things to me would definitely strain the relationship between the Snake People tribe and the Jioma Empire. This is not good for anyone. You can go and tell the elders." Medusa lifted her eyes as she calmly replied. Xiao Yang held his forehead and emitted a painful moan. His heart quietly said that something troublesome had indeed arrived. "I will come and look for you tomorrow." Medusa ignored Xiao Yang's pained manner. She turned her body and slowly walked to the bottom of the hill. Her footsteps suddenly paused. She hesitated for a moment before speaking. "There is no need for you to remember that whatever soul recovery pill. The influence that the heaven-swallowing python has on me is already becoming increasingly weaker. Are you going to kill me?" Xiao Yang was startled when he heard this. He immediately questioned in a stunned manner, if this queen wished to kill you, you would have already died an unknown number of times during this year. Medusa coldly snorted. Xiao Yang awkwardly smiled, but his heart sighed in relief. This time bomb beside him seemed to begin showing traces of weakening. He finally no longer need to be on tenterhooks all day like in the past. Moreover, no matter what had happened in the past, he at the very least had Yao Lao who could warn him. However, now Yao Lao was captured. If Medusa still held the same thoughts as she did back then, it was likely that he would really be quietly finished off without anyone knowing. Remember, do not use anything as an excuse tomorrow. Otherwise. Medusa left behind some words that contained a threat. After which, her body moved and she slowly disappeared in the dark night sky. Xiao Yang widened his mouth as he stared at the spot Medusa had disappeared from. He slumped and sighed a moment later. Immediately, he clenched his teeth and said, "Fine, I will just go. I don't believe that all of you will really kill me." Xiao Yang suddenly felt guilty before he had spoken until the end. He quietly spoke in his heart, however, for safety's sake, I should still call Old Hai, Jiao Lao, and the others. Xiao Yang finally sighed in relief after he had made this decision in his heart. He summoned the fire wings before flying to the Black Mountain Fortress. Although the three-army alliance had already withdrawn, the defenses of the Black Mountain Fortress were still extremely tight. After all, no one knew whether the three-army alliance would return again. Hence, the atmosphere in this place was still extremely tense and solemn despite the jubilation within the interior of the empire. The meeting room of the Black Mountain Fortress on the next day. Xiao Ding and the others were greatly surprised when they heard that Xiao Yang intended to head to the border of the Chuyun Empire to assassinate the three Mulan elders and Yang Luo Qian. This plan was quite risky. If this is a trap that they set up for us, it is likely that the fate of you and Medusa will be quite poor. Should mishap happen to the two of you, the three-army alliance will definitely attack again. Xiao Ding spoke in a solemn manner. Hai Budong and the others by his side nodded with solemn faces. This matter was too risky. If I do not do this, Yang Luo Qian and the three Mulan elders will once again gather all the essence strength within their sects after they fully recover from their injuries. After that, they will be in extremely great trouble. The strength of a Dozong is far too strong. Now that we have already formed enmity, we would have to pay quite a hefty price if they decided to take revenge on us in the future. Hence, now is the best time for us to eliminate the grass from its roots. Xiao Yang slowly said. His eyes swept over the entire hall as he smiled and said, "What plan does not have a risk? Moreover, especially when it is something as big as this." Xiao Ding and the others could only sigh when they heard Xiao Yang's instance. However, they were also clearly aware that despite the great risk that this plan carried, the danger of the Yang Alliance and the Jioma Empire would be completely eliminated once it succeeded. This kind of method was one with the greatest assurance. Do you really think that the leader of the poison sect can be trusted? Xiao Ding's finger vaguely moved over the surface of the table. He asked a question in a deep voice a moment later. A faint voice was transmitted from the side while Xiao Yang stealthily left the meeting room. "Let's go. I have waited for quite a while." Xiao Yang's body immediately stiffened when he heard this voice. He turned his head with great difficulty, only to see that Medusa was leaning against a stone fence outside of the meeting room. She stood in a lazy manner while those bewitching eyes watched him indifferently. Xiao Yang let out a dry cough. His face revealed a grin, but it was extremely forceful. After which, he unwillingly walked toward Medusa. Hai Budong and Jiao Qian coincidentally walked out of the hall just as Xiao Yang approached Medusa. The two of them were startled when they saw this, but immediately smiled and greeted them. Xiao Yang immediately rejoiced upon seeing the two of them. He was just about to open his mouth to speak when Medusa, by his side, told them off in an icy-cold voice. "Xiao Yang and I have some matters to deal with. There is no need for the two of you to follow." Hai Budong and Jiao Qian were stunned when they heard this. They immediately looked at each other before letting out dry laughter. After which, they threw Xiao Yang a gaze that suggested he should fend for himself before quickly fleeing. As he watched these two old fellows, who had fled faster than a rabbit could, in a speechless manner, Xiao Yang could only resign to his fate and shake his head. He turned his head to Medusa and said, "Let's go." I want to see just what your elders can do to me. A faint smile surfaced on the corner of Medusa's mouth when she saw Xiao Yang's manner, which appeared to be somewhat like he was about to die. She turned around and led the way in front with a steady pace. Xiao Yang followed behind with a bitter expression. Xiao Yang could not be blamed for dragging his feet. The matter between him and Medusa might not have been within his control, but he had ultimately took the other person's body. This was the truth. Heading to meet the elders in the clan was similar to meeting the other party's parents. Xiao Yang followed Medusa as they passed through a couple of spacious streets. After around 10+ minutes, they gradually turned into a somewhat darker region. This place was coincidentally the corner of the city. The shadows formed from the towering city walls caused this place to be a little darker. The many experts from the Snake People tribe stayed in this place. There was a boundary line that was placed at the intersection between this place and the outside world. The Snake People tribe might currently be in an alliance with the Jioma Empire, but most of the Snake People were still quite resistant to humans. Hence, it required quite some time in order for them to gradually mill their differences and live peacefully alongside each other. This area where the Snake People tribe lived was tightly defended. Snake People who held weapons in their hands repeatedly patrolled to and fro. When they saw Medusa's body, these guards would immediately pause their bodies and reveal a wildfire in their eyes. After which, they would bow and greet her. Xiao Yang and Medusa passed by them. It was a long while later before they stopped in front of a large compound. Medusa waved her hand and the door to the compound automatically opened. She entered. Xiao Yang hesitated a little before following. Xiao Yang's foot had just stepped into the compound when an enormous dark shadow suddenly came smashing over in a ruthless manner while containing a ferocious wind. Xiao Yang's face changed as he sensed that sudden attack. He immediately let out a cold snort as he tightened his fist. The jade-green flame swiftly surged out and smashed toward the person who had unceremoniously launched a sneak attack. Bang! A low, deep wind expanded in the courtyard, shaking dust on the ground until it began to spread out like an air wave. Xiao Yang's shoulders trembled after exchanging a blow. The person who launched a sneak attack flipped a couple of times through air before crashing to the ground. Xiao Yang slowly raised his head. His eyes were somewhat ice-cold as he swept over the person who had launched a sneak attack. His eyes immediately narrowed. The person who appeared in front of Xiao Yang was a male snake person who was strongly built. His appearance was quite fierce, and his hand had an enormous black python tattoo. When his hand moved, the enormous python appeared as though it was a living creature that emitted threads of violent, dark aura. At this moment, the latter was using a pair of fierce eyes to look at Xiao Yang. Powerful Do Qi repeatedly writhed over the surface of his body. The hard rock surface where he had landed had cracked open. Clearly, this was due to the force of the earlier confrontation. Who are you? Xiao Yang observed this fierce male snake person. He could sense that the latter was an expert at the peak of the Do Wang class. However, he was not considered to be an opponent that was troublesome to deal with in Xiao Yang's opinion. Nevertheless, Xiao Yang felt some anger at the other party's sudden sneak attack. Commander Mo Ba Sai of the Snake People tribe. The male snake person's eyes stared intently at Xiao Yang. The enmity within his eyes was exceptionally obvious. You are that Xiao Yang? Xiao Yang indifferently nodded. A fierce glow immediately flashed across the eyes of that Mo Ba Sai when he saw Xiao Yang nod. His fist was suddenly clenched and the strong muscles on his arm wiggled, causing the enormous black python tattoo to appear alive. It seemed like it was unleashing an evil aura that rushed to the sky. I will no longer hold back if you come again. Some hatred also appeared in Xiao Yang's eyes when he saw this stubborn fellow. A jade-green flame rose on his hand as he slowly replied, in that case, this commander shall ask for advice. Mo Ba Sai furiously cried out. However, his body was just about to pounce over when a cold voice was transmitted over. It caused his entire body to stiffen. Enough, enough. This queen orders you to stop. Medusa turned her head and spoke to Mo Ba Sai with vertical eyebrows. She reprimanded, Mo Ba Sai, your manners are worsening. He is a guest of our Snake People tribe. How can you just randomly launch a sneak attack? The strongly built Mo Ba Sai did not reveal the slightest impatience upon being reprimanded by Medusa. He helplessly nodded. However, the gaze he was using to look at Medusa with was filled with dense adoration and respect. Mo Ba Sai threw another dark, solemn gaze toward Xiao Yang before unwillingly withdrawing to one side. Xiao Yang finally scattered the jade-green flame on his fist after watching that fellow withdraw. Perhaps it was possible to tell the reason for the other person's displeasure toward him from the way that fellow was looking at Medusa. However, this did not cause Xiao Yang to feel any concern. His gaze swept over this compound only to knit his brows slightly. This compound that was quite big had quite a number of snake people figures. From the looks of the aura of these people, they were clearly the top experts of the snake people tribe. Yu Mai, whom he had rescued, was also among them. "Follow me." Medusa softly spoke to Xiao Yang, who was standing at the entrance. After which, she took the lead in walking to the deeper areas of the compound. Behind her, Xiao Yang hesitated for a moment, but could only follow as the many surrounding gazes that were looking at him filled with ill intent. The compound finally became much more lively after Medusa and Xiao Yang entered the inner compound. Everyone became talkative as they began to discuss what happened. Xiao Yang followed Medusa as they walked down a couple of serenely quiet paths. A while later, the two of them stopped in front of a bamboo building that was hidden in a bamboo forest deep in the compound. Medusa paused in front of the bamboo house and a solemnness appeared on her face. After which, she lightly knocked on the door. "Enter." An elderly voice was transmitted from the bamboo room after the door had vibrated. The door opened with the voice. Medusa glanced at Xiao Yang before she turned around and entered the building. Xiao Yang stood at the entrance and hesitated for a moment. He could faintly sense that there were 4 obscure auras within the bamboo room. Although they were not as strong as Medusa, they could not be underestimated. After all, these 4 auras were slightly stronger when compared with Jiaoxing Qian and Hai Budong. Of course, these 4 people had yet to break through to the Do Zone class. They were merely at the peak of the Do Huang class. Xiao Yang sighed in relief within his heart after he sensed the strength of these 4 auras. As long as they were not elite Do Zones, he would not need to be afraid. With his ability, there should not be many people in the Do Huang class who would be able to retain him. Xiao Yang's body moved after his heart calmed down. He also slowly walked in. When he did so, the door of the bamboo house automatically shut. A faint light suddenly rose after Xiao Yang entered the bamboo house. 4 old figures immediately appeared in Xiao Yang's gaze within that spacious room. Medusa was quietly sitting on a futon by the side. An old figure within the house opened her eyes after she seemed to have sensed Xiao Yang's footsteps. Triangular-shaped eyes were locked onto Xiao Yang like how a poisonous snake would study its prey, causing a chill to rise on his skin. The remaining 3 old women also suddenly opened their eyes after she did so. 4 dark, cold auras rose before finally gathering together. Their auras actually agglomerated into an enormous black python above them. The enormous python's emotionless eyes stared intently at Xiao Yang and an invisible pressure quietly rose. Finally, it turned into a 1,000-kilogram force that clustered around Xiao Yang's body. Xiao Yang's expression became increasingly more solemn as he sensed the pressure of that powerful aura. He suddenly let out a soft cry. A jade-green flame suddenly rose and immediately wrapped around his entire body. It is indeed a heavenly flame. It is actually a heavenly flame. The eyes of the center-old woman in the room displayed surprise as she observed the jade-green flame that lingered over Xiao Yang's body. The enormous python aura above her head gradually began to disappear as she slowly said, "You are the chief of the Yang Alliance, Xiao Yang." Her voice was awful, appearing as though a rock was scratching glass. It caused an uncomfortable feeling to spread over a person's entire body. Of course, given Xiao Yang's strength, he was naturally able to filter out this kind of feeling. He bowed to the 4 old women courteously before saying, "Xiao Yang from the younger generation greets 4 senior Snake People tribe elders. How unexpected. You are able to reach the Do Huang class at such a young age. You are indeed someone blessed with great talent." That center-old woman revealed an ugly smile toward Xiao Yang. She quickly said, "This old woman is the first elder of the Snake People tribe. This is the second elder, the third elder, and the fourth elder." Xiao Yang's eyes followed the movement of the shriveled finger of the first elder. He courteously greeted every single one of them. No matter how one put it, he should at least follow etiquette properly, today, I have called Chief Xiao over partly, because there is something that I wish to inquire. The first elder's triangular-shaped eyes moved after completing the introductions. Her voice was hoarse and awful when she spoke. First elder, please speak. Xiao Yan dryly laughed. This matter is related to our tribe leader Medusa. The first elder's voice was without ripple, appearing much like an old well. There was not much change in her tone. However, it was because of this that Xiao Yang did not dare to slight her even a little within his heart. Xiao Yang's expression changed a little. His feet took a step back without leaving any traces. He immediately laughed in a bitter manner. For elders, this was not Xiao Yang's intention. The matter is quite complicated. In that case, Chief Xiao has admitted to taking Medusa's virginity. The first elder questioned in a deep voice. Xiao Yang was silent. He immediately helplessly nodded. According to our tribe rules, Chief Xiao must suffer the punishment of being bitten by over 10,000 snakes. The second elder, who was seated beside the first elder, suddenly spoke, with a dark murky tone. Xiao Yang's expression changed a little. Do-chi slowly began to flow in his body as he said with a deep voice, for elders. Although this is not something that Xiao Yang was willing to do, I do indeed have some responsibility. However, your tribe rules seem to be unable to manage me, no. If you really want to use force, Xiao Yang will not simply just allow himself to be captured. Medusa's eyebrows were slightly knit when she saw Xiao Yang's somewhat solemn face. She did not wish to see the relationship between Xiao Yang and the first elder become this stiff. Moreover, the four elders had said that they would not make things difficult for Xiao Yang. Why, hey, what a tough set of bones. The first elder glanced at Xiao Yang before raising her eyebrows. She waved her hand and said, forget it, we shall not scare you, little fellow. Now that the Snake People tribe and the Jioma Empire are in an alliance, our Snake People tribe must require your care, as the chief of the Yang Alliance. I will naturally not let you suffer the whatever 10,000 snake bites punishment. Xiao Yang felt joy in his heart when he heard this. He hurriedly laughed. That is only natural. May I know just why first elder has called me over? The first elder exchanged looks with the other three elders. She hesitated for a moment before slowly speaking. When we were baptizing the clan leader, the four of you used a secret method. We seem to have found a small life force in the clan leader's womb. It seems that it is a sign of pregnancy. The atmosphere in the bamboo house appeared to be solidified at this moment. Xiao Yang and Medusa were stunned as they looked at the first elder, whose words were shocking. No matter how calm they usually were, they were undoubtedly shaken to a dull state at this moment. Pregnant? Really? The corner of Xiao Yang's mouth twitched with great force. He could not control the slight impulse to jump. That was their first time. Was it really so coincidental? Medusa's reaction was similarly not any better. The usual decisive and killing aura of hers had completely disappeared. Her small, moist, red lips were faintly parted while her long neck pulsed a little. However, her heart was in such a state of turmoil that she could not utter a single word. A woman like her would not blink her eyes when fighting with someone or taking another person's life. However, right now she was just like a panicked, lost little girl. She did not know how to deal with such matters. That first elder, are you mistaken? That it has been over a year since the matter that happened underground. According to what I am aware of. A pregnancy doesn't require such a long time, right? Xiao Yang gradually recovered after some time, before speaking in a halting manner. A snake person is different from a human being. Moreover, the tribe leader has evolved into the heavenly swallowing python, a beast from the ancient times. Naturally, there is some difference from ordinary people. It is not rare for one to be pregnant for a year, or even a couple of years. The first elder shook her head as she replied. Cold sweat immediately began to flow down Xiao Yang's forehead when he heard these words. First elder, you should have sensed wrongly, right? Why is it that even I am not aware of this? Medusa hurriedly inquired. She had finally recovered from her dull state at this moment. The life force is extremely weak. It is very difficult for me to sense it had we not used the secret method to probe. It is only natural that you have not sensed it. The first elder explained. There is indeed still a need to wait and check to see if the tiny life force is a sign of being pregnant. However, if this matter is true, our snake people tribe will once again have another descendant who possesses the Medusa bloodline. This is an extremely big matter within our tribe. A sleek redness surged onto the first elder's face when she spoke until this point. Her eyes had gained an additional excitement. Xiao Yan and Medusa let out a heavy sigh of relief when they heard that the first elder had not confirmed this matter. Perhaps this matter was just an accident. Whether this matter is true or not, you should remember to be exceptionally careful in the future. Perhaps after another period of time, you should be able to confirm just what is in your body. The first elder knit her brows and spoke in a deep voice when she saw Medusa's appearance. How long is this period of time? Xiao Yang dryly laughed as he inquired. The snake people race is different from the human race. This is especially so for the Medusa bloodline. If she is really pregnant, it is likely not going to be a short one. It is common for the pregnancy to last 3 to 5 years. The first elder spoke in a faint manner. According to the secret technique within the clan, the nourishment of a Medusa baby is divided into the top, middle, and low grades. The baby that is groomed from using these 3 grades will also have different potential. If a low-grade secret technique is used to nourish the baby, it would stop at the Do Huang class unless it is met with a lucky opportunity. If a middle-grade secret technique is used as nourishment, the potential of the baby is sufficient to allow it to reach the Do Zone class. The top-grade secret technique will be even stronger. Xiao Yang also felt somewhat curious when he heard of the different grades of nourishments labeled by the secret technique. He asked, in that case, what grade of secret technique was used for Medusa? Middle grade. The first elder laughed. However, there is no absolute in this. If one has the luck and the talent, one will naturally be able to advance to a higher level. Of course, the effort that one must put forth is many times more than a baby who receives a low-grade nourishment. She is actually only just at the middle grade. Xiao Yang spoke in a stunned manner when he heard this. The corner of his mouth immediately twitched. These few old fellows had called him over with the intention of getting him to take responsibility. Then what does First Elder want? If Medusa is indeed pregnant, you will be the child's father. Hence, the things that you are asked to do are things that you are duty-bound to do. The first elder smiled as she replied. She did not bother about Medusa, whose face had suddenly become flushed red because of her words, this relationship. You want to tell me to take responsibility? Xiao Yang rubbed the cold sweat on his forehead. For an instant, he was actually unsure of what he ought to say. According to what the first elder had said, if this matter were the truth, the child in Medusa's womb would definitely possess part of his blood. It could indeed be considered his blood-related child. It was only right and proper for a father to do something for his child. What does first elder mean? Xiao Yang finally asked carefully a moment later. Us old fellows will not intervene in the matter between Medusa and you. However, you must put in effort for this child. The Snake People tribe have met a great calamity this time around. We have lost much of what the tribe has stored. Yes. Xiao Yang glanced at Medusa. He nodded slightly. Clearly, she was the one who had mentioned this to the first elder. In that case, may I know if we can get Chief Xiao Yang to help this future Medusa bloodline refine a medicinal pill that the middle grade secret technique requires, the snake marrow bone shedding pill? The first elder laughed. She was looking at Xiao Yang with a great earnestness while she smiled. Even though Xiao Yang had already guessed this in his heart, he could not help but roll his eyes when he heard her request. As expected, first elder, this matter has yet to be confirmed. Is it not a little inappropriate to make such a big fuss of? Moreover, isn't it just a snake marrow bone shedding pill? With this queen's current strength, it is not impossible to get a tier 6 alchemist to help refine it. Medusa by the side immediately let out a cold snort as she opened her mouth and replied, when she saw Xiao Yang's expression, we are taking precautions. On this matter, it is better to be mistaken than to miss it. If it is really true, and we miss the most opportune time, who will take responsibility for the result? The first elder knit her brows, and responded in a stern manner. The first elder's eyes stared intently at Xiao Yang when she spoke until this point. She slowly said, may I know what Chief Xiao Yang's opinion is? Xiao Yang knit his brows. He mused for a moment before slightly shaking his head. The expressions of the 4 great elders and Medusa involuntarily sank in a manner that was hard to notice when they saw him shake his head. The latter tightly bit her lips. The gaze she used to look at Xiao Yang slowly turned ice cold. The snake marrow bone shedding pill might be a tier 6 medicinal pill, but it is still a little too low in level. I think that the Heaven Soul blood bone pill might not be bad. What do you all think? Xiao Yang rubbed his chin, raised his head, and spoke in a probing manner. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.